Everything you think creates attraction might actually be repelling it. If you've ever felt invisible, ghosted after showing interest, or stuck trying to impress someone who barely notices you, this is for you, because what I'm about to share flips the modern dating narrative on its head. It's not about being nice. It's not about trying harder. It's about rewiring your mindset and mastering your psychology. This isn't surface-level dating advice. It's deeper, more dangerous, and more powerful. Let's begin. Number 1. The paradox of attention. Why holding back works. From the time we were boys, we were told that vulnerability equals virtue. That to win someone's heart, we had to lay ours bare. Be available, be expressive, be the nice guy who's always there. But here's the deeper truth, one that most men learn the hard way. Unfiltered availability doesn't inspire appreciation. It breeds indifference. And that's the paradox of attention. What's freely given is often taken for granted, not because people are cruel, but because human psychology devalues abundance. The moment your attention becomes constant, it becomes background noise. Take this to real life. Think about that guy who's always texting her first, always complimenting. Her always there. She knows where he is, what he wants, and that he'll never walk away, so what's left to discover? Now contrast that with the man who offers his attention like a rare coin, selectively, purposefully. He's not rude, he's not distant, but he doesn't chase, he doesn't beg. He carries himself like a man whose time is currency. And suddenly, his silence speaks louder than another man's compliments. She starts to wonder about him, to question her assumptions. That curiosity, that mystery, that's the beginning of real attraction. Even the Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. Your need to be seen, liked, and validated is the very thing that weakens your presence." Attention isn't just about visibility, it's about value. What you hold back becomes sacred. What you give too freely becomes noise. So let them wonder where you are. Let them feel your absence, not just your presence. Because in a world addicted to dopamine and desperate validation, the man who stands still, who doesn't need to chase, is the one they can't stop watching. Number 2. Triggering emotion. The hidden language of desire. Most men have been taught that if you check off the boxes, success, looks, kindness, you'll be irresistible. But here's the hard truth. Attraction doesn't live in logic. It breathes in emotion. It's not about what you are on paper. It's about what you make them feel. This is where most people get it wrong. You can be perfect in every rational way and still be invisible emotionally. That's because attraction isn't a checklist, it's a storm. Think back to a moment when someone walked into your life and disrupted your rhythm. Maybe they weren't the most attractive person in the room, but damn, they made you feel confused, curious, excited, unsure. That unpredictability ignited something primal. You weren't in control, and that loss of control created desire. In the same way, when we create emotional intensity in others, not just comfort or predictability, we awaken desire. And not just through smiles and compliments. No, contrast is the secret. The emotional roller coaster is where true craving begins. The Stoics teach us that while we can't control external events, we can control how we respond and how we intentionally disrupt patterns. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This philosophy applies directly to human connection. Disrupting emotional patterns forces attention. It's like silence in a conversation. It grabs you harder than noise. Ever notice how someone pulling away can make you crave them more than someone constantly present? That's emotional pattern disruption, a psychological trigger that jolts the brain awake. It's tension, not comfort, that breeds curiosity and eventually longing. So how do you use this power without becoming manipulative? You create a rhythm of certainty and uncertainty. Be attentive, then retreat. Show warmth, then challenge assumptions. Reveal depth, but don't spill your soul all at once. You're not playing games, you're creating gravity. The human brain chases what it doesn't fully understand. When someone can't quite read you, they become invested. That chase for clarity, that's where the fire is born. It's in that space of not knowing, that space of emotional tension, that real raw attraction begins to grow. Number 3, the energy of detachment. Why needing nothing attracts everything. Let's talk about a power most men never tap into. Emotional detachment. Not because they don't want to, but because our culture trains us to attach, to seek, to need. We're taught that love means clinging, that ambition means obsessing, that worth means being recognized. But emotional detachment flips the script. It's not about being cold or careless. It's about being centered. It's about standing solid in who you are, without letting the winds of other people's opinions, moods, or decisions shake your foundation. It's the opposite of desperation. It's self-respect weaponized. Think about it. Have you ever chased someone's validation so hard that you lost your edge? Maybe it was a relationship where you constantly walked on eggshells hoping they'd finally choose you. Or a job where you bent over backwards trying to be seen, only to feel invisible. That's what attachment does. It makes you smaller, more reactive, less powerful. Now compare that to a man who knows his worth, whether others recognize it or not. He doesn't beg. He doesn't explain himself over and over. He doesn't panic in silence. That man radiates strength. And paradoxically, people are drawn to him because he's not trying to pull them in. The Stoics had a word for this kind of calm power, apatheia. It doesn't mean indifference, it means freedom from irrational passions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of detachment. You let go of what you can't control, outcomes, other people, opinions, and double down on what you can, your standards, your values, your energy. Emotionally detached men don't chase clarity from those who give mixed signals. They don't beg for respect. They command it by the way they walk away when lines are crossed. That kind of peace isn't just attractive, it's rare. And in a world full of noise and neediness, rarity is magnetic. When you stop needing everything, everything starts gravitating toward you. Not because you're manipulating the game, but because you've stepped out of it entirely. People feel that. They feel your calm, your silence, your refusal to dance for approval. And suddenly, they want to be near that energy. They want to earn you. That's the paradox most men never understand. You stop chasing and you start attracting. Number 4, silent influence. The psychology of presence without pressure. Influence isn't about control. It's not about manipulation, coercion, or dominance. It's about resonance. It's about becoming someone others naturally align with, not because you demand it, but because your presence commands it. Think about it. When was the last time someone truly earned your respect by talking over you, trying to sell you an idea, or asserting dominance in every sentence? Probably never. Real influence is quiet. It doesn't knock on the door. It waits, and you feel its weight before it ever enters the room. There's something ancient and magnetic about silent strength. Picture a man who doesn't need to prove anything. He walks into a room and there's a gravity to him. His eyes scan, not with judgment but with awareness. His pace is deliberate. His presence speaks before he ever says a word. You've met someone like this. Maybe it was a mentor, a father figure, a leader who barely raised his voice yet had the loyalty of everyone around him. He didn't pressure you. He didn't preach. He just was. And that was enough. The Stoics understood this kind of influence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Presence is the embodiment of that quote. It's not about convincing others that you're strong, wise, or capable. It's about being so rooted in your own truth that others feel steadier just by being near you. Presence creates influence, not through power over others, but through power within yourself. Want to master this kind of influence? Slow down. In a world addicted to speed and noise, a man who moves with intention becomes an anomaly, and anomalies get noticed. Speak with pauses that demand attention. Hold eye contact just long enough to challenge someone's defenses. And, most importantly, listen, not just to words, but to the silence behind them. When you make space in a conversation, emotional or verbal, you invite someone to fill it. And that space becomes yours to shape. Men often think they need to dominate a room to lead it. But the truth? Leadership starts with presence, not performance. Influence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just stands there, grounded and unwavering. And in that stillness, others listen, not because they have to, but because they want to. That subtle power, that silent influence. And that's what the world respects far more than any loud voice ever could. Number 5, Stoic Self-Control, the most attractive energy you can develop. Let's talk about a trait that's becoming nearly extinct in our modern world, yet it's the most magnetic form of power a man can carry: emotional self-mastery. Not fake calm, not forced smiles, but true inner steadiness, the kind that can only be forged in fire. In an age where outrage is currency and emotional chaos is celebrated, the man who remains centered becomes an anomaly, and people are drawn to anomalies, especially ones that radiate peace in a storm. Philosophically, emotional self-control is not about becoming a robot. It's about becoming a master of your inner world. In Stoicism, Epictetus said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Think about that. The moment you let someone else's words dictate your emotions, you've handed them your power. True Stoic strength is quiet. It doesn't announce itself with ego or domination. It shows up when you walk away from chaos without needing to make a scene. When you choose discipline over drama. When you become the anchor in a world full of sinking ships. Now imagine this in your relationships. Romantic, professional, or even friendships. She pulls away, goes cold, stops texting. The average guy starts spiraling. He doubles texts. He begs. He over-explains, hoping for validation, but not you. You sit with the discomfort, you breathe through the silence. You don't chase, because you're not trying to prove your worth. You know it. That's not indifference, it's self-respect. That's not passivity, it's power. See, most people react, very few respond. Emotional self-control is the difference between the two. It's not suppression, it's sovereignty. You don't avoid your feelings. You hold them, examine them, and act in alignment with your values, not your impulses. You become the eye of the storm. And in doing so, people start to feel something different around you. Safe, grounded, challenged, attracted. Because when a man is rooted in himself, he becomes immovable. Not rigid, but rooted. And that's rare. And whatever's rare in this world becomes irresistible. Conclusion. Flip the dynamic. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes he's been fighting the wrong battle, not out in the world, but within himself. If you've been stuck in the exhausting loop of chasing, proving, and overgiving, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you've been trying to win a game that was never meant for warriors. You were trying to earn what should have been drawn to your presence, not your performance. Attraction isn't about being flawless. It's not about having the best lines, the perfect timing, or the most impressive resume. It's about being centered. It's about being so rooted in who you are that you no longer seek permission to be worthy. Marcus Aurelius once said, The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. That's not apathy, that's power. When you stop scrambling for validation and instead become a man who validates himself, the entire dynamic flips. Ask yourself this: why do I need them to like me? What if that question is the very chain that's kept you bound? What if the real question is, how do I become the version of me who doesn't need them to like me? Think of the guy in every room who doesn't chase, yet somehow attracts. He isn't playing games, he just is. He brings peace with him. He doesn't speak to impress. He speaks with conviction. He doesn't flinch at silence. He owns it, because that version of you, the one who stands tall with calm, grounded confidence, that's the man they don't forget. Not because he begged for attention, but because he never needed it. He radiates something rare, emotional self-control, a sense of inner peace that can't be bought or faked. He's not for everyone, but the ones who recognize it, they never question his worth. Because a man like that doesn't chase. Because he knows he doesn't have to.